How many years have you been? Have you headed LASWA? How many years?
Okay, so I headed LASWA 7 years now, but altogether I've been there 9 years.
So you were at LASWA for 2 years before you became
Before
GM.
I became the GM, yes.
What were you before?
So I was second in command, like secretary. Next role to the general manager is secretary. For me, I've always been passionate about public service, but of course I started in the private sector. I worked extensively in the private sector, and an opportunity came about to get into the public sector, and I was offered, and I decided to
How are you offered?
take it.
Hi guys, what's up? You're welcome back to Black Flame. My name is Gaise Baba. Yep. Okay, so thank you for all the love, thank you for all the support thus far. We're glad that this is blessing, reaching many people and being impactful. And it's getting to interesting circles also, by the way. It's quite interesting. So shout out to everyone in the Black Flame community, our entire audience. Thank you. Special mention to our first sponsor, Urbana Grill. Thank you, and we're enjoying the goodness of your grilling. Thank you very much. I have an interesting guest on this episode. Check out all the previous episodes. These are episode 9, so soon we'll be clocking 10 episodes, but this is 9, so check out the previous 8. Episode 7 was with my wife. No, not episode 7. Episode 7 was me alone answering questions. Episode 8 was with my wife from Toyboy. If you have not seen that one, go and check it out. There's plenty wisdom inside and plenty laughter as well. You know, my wife laughs a lot, so check that out. So check episode 8 out. This is episode 9, and on this episode I'll introduce my guest in a bit. His name is Damilola Emmanuel, and I'll tell you about him in a little bit. All right, I feel like I'm missing out on something I'm supposed to tell you guys, but if I remember, I'll come back to it. So let me just jump straight into episode 9. So my guest today he's not in politics, he's in governance. So at some point I'll ask if at any point he would want to dabble into politics. We'll get into all of that, but my guest is Damilola Emmanuel, and he is the what's the designation? Is it general manager? Is it managing director? It's general manager. He's general manager of Lagos State Water Agency. That's LASWA. If you see LASWA anywhere, LASWA, the head office is at Falomo, right?
Yes, Falomo.
It's at Falomo, right beside. If you pass Falomo Bridge, if you are coming from the Falomo side and are going to the VI side, it's going to be on your left. It's one big, interesting white building like this. You'll be seeing boats, or not ships, boats. Yeah, boats beside it. That's LASWA. From his office, you can see the Waterways. So thank you for coming on Black Flame.
Absolute pleasure to be here, guys.
We're glad to have you. Yeah. So, there are stories we'll touch on, but first tell what does it entail to be the general manager at LASWA?
Well, first of all, you have to be appointed. You're definitely not just there by yourself. You're appointed by the governor, and you're there to basically serve Lagosians. And that's one thing you must, if you don't have the right mindset, you'd always struggle on the job, because it's also a job of purpose. You have to understand what you're doing from day one. You have to set out to do it, because before you know it, your time might just be over, and you might realize that, what have I really done? So to be general manager of LASWA means that I basically regulate water transportation in Lagos State. And this is transportation mainly of passengers and of course of goods, because as passengers are moving around, they're taking goods are moving as well. So basically regulating that, ensuring that there's development in this sector. Right now we speak of sustainable development because obviously you want to develop in the right way. Want to ensure that, of course, you are keeping the society as clean and as responsible to society as much as possible. And of course, driving investments as well towards those that sector as well, whether it's local or foreign investments, to just ensure that, you know, there's mobility on the waterways as well, because as you know, Lagos, you know, can be known most times for traffic because of the roads, there are a lot of cars on the roads, a lot of people moving from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So waterways and now the rail also provides viable alternatives to Lagos. So pretty much regulating another mode of transportation to road transportation in Lagos State.
How many years have you been? have you headed LASWA? How many years?
Okay, so I headed LASWA 7 years now, but altogether I've been there 9 years.
So you were at LASWA for 2 years before you became
GM. I became the GM.
What were you before?
So I was second in command, like secretary. The secretary is second. The next role to the general manager is secretary.
So how did you enter? How did you get into LASWA first? Like, I think helpful.
Well, for me, I've always been passionate about public service, but of course, I started out in the private sector. I worked extensively in the private sector, and an opportunity came about to get into the public sector, and I was offered. And I decided to.
How were you offered?
Take it.
Like, I want like the detail. How were you offered?
Well, at that point in time, the governor of Lagos State, who is also the current one, or the previous
Ambody.
Governor, yes.
Right.
So he had a lot of work, doing work with private sector at that point in time, several other people as well. But in the process, I had to do some work as well. And then there was a head of LASWA, of course, as well. But an opportunity came up, and I thought, oh, you're young. What have you been doing? Do I know you that well? But yeah, come on. Let's see whether you can give this a shot. And that's how I was offered the appointment, not knowing full capacity, full abilities. And the rest, to say, is history.
Cool stuff. So where you were before that opportunity came?
Yes.
The private sector, where was it?
So I was doing my own thing. I was doing impact investing. I had a company which was focused on getting money from the private sector and looking for public sector projects to work. Right. So I've always had that whole
you were
interfacing with the public sector. Yeah, I was very passionate because I'm very passionate about education. I want to see education. I believe that education is the bedrock of any society, and that's one key area that would help change Nigeria if we get our education sector right. If you look at any country that's really, speak about any good country, you look at the education system, is absolutely solid.
So the reason I'm asking like I take enter.
Yes.
is like, because I know that there are many people who just have absolutely no idea. You have maybe a drive or a passion,
yes,
and you feel like you can contribute to governance,
yes,
or contribute to the public sector, but you just have so I'm wondering, okay, someone that is there, how did you
get in there?
Do they lobby to enter or do you get so I just wanted to just get an idea of your pathway.
Yeah, so it's good you ask this kind of questions, because for me, I'm very big on relationships. I've come into this room today and they might not know, but I've looked at all their faces.
Right.
The ability, the tendency that I might see them in my life again, I don't know. But if I ever see them, I'll know.
That not everybody has that.
Not everybody does that.
Not everybody has that.
Does that. Yeah. So if I see any of them, I'll know. And
so you never forget faces.
I do quite well, and I try to, as much as I can, engage. I may not be here that long to be able to engage, but usually when I get into a place, I talk to people randomly, and I get to meet people. So I think also relationships matter, and relationships are the open doors for you. So you never know And that's why I never joke with even calls. When people call you, no matter the amount of missed calls I have to find a way to call back. It might take me days, but I need to make sure I call back every number that calls me.
Wowza.
Yeah.
No jokes.
No jokes. If I don't call, I'll send a message. I saw your missed call. So
there's someone inside this room that can learn from that.
Yeah, you can just never know. You never know who's calling you. You never know who you meet. You never know who's going to help you.
Wow.
Let's not even just use Christianity, but in the Bible, if you look at the Bible, people that saved kings were their house helps and housemaids. So don't play with your house helps as well.
See, we know they even go deep into episode before wisdom they fly. I mean, we can't, Black Film can't help itself. It's just the source, the spring of wisdom. Wisdom will just they fly. You understand? Cool. So there was someone who gave me a feedback about, she's like, I really love what you're doing and I love the platform. And I try to, I don't just think, oh, I love what you're doing. Oh, I like, what do you love about it? Like, why do you love it? I want to know, what are we getting right? Or what's that? If I might also see a common thread to what's, and she was like, is how you have serious conversations in a chilled type way. You're like chilled, laid back a bit, but you're having like really deep, insightful, high level conversations, and we're gonna have quite more of that. I'm really, really happy that you agreed to come on this, because for every how do you say that in English? Very means and purposes. That's one way they say that. By all means, Sha, you're not. I mean, you're a top government official. I know you might not say it like that, but you are a top government official, because it means that transportation via the waterways in Lagos, you're in charge.
I'm sorry.
Right? So I'm glad that, and you're the first person we're having from public sector or from, so it's an honor to have you, honestly, right? Yeah. What's the proportion of water to land in Lagos?
1/5 of Lagos is water.
20%.
Well, yeah, so you say pretty much 20%, 1/5 of
That's
Lagos.
a lot.
That's a lot. We're surrounded by water. So 15 out of 20 local governments are accessible by water in Lagos. Only 5 are not accessible by water.
So it means that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it means that, I mean, just if I do a run, if I use the people in this room as a sample space, and I'll do that right now. Yeah. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 4 males, 1 female, 2 Gen Zs, 2 millennials, 1, I'm not sure where you are, whether you're millennial or Gen Z or you're in between the two. Yeah. But let's do a quick one.
Yes.
I'm starting from you. Have you gone by, and just scream your response, have you transported yourself via water within Lagos? Let them shout. No. Have you transported yourself via water in Lagos? Yes. You? Yes. That's 2-1. You? No, that's 2-2. You? No. So out of 5 people here, 3. No. Is it 3 or 4?
3, no.
Who said you said yes?
Yes.
Okay, you have. Where did you go? Ikorodu to Lekki. Where did you go? Different place. Okay, you are used to it. And then 3 of you have never gone. You've never like transported via waterways in Lagos. So my question was gonna be: are the waterways underutilized in Lagos?
Yes, I'm not using the word underutilized, but of course, I use the word now it's opening up.
Right.
And of course, generally, even in fact, if maybe you should ask another question, how many of them can swim? Because there's also that question of, swimming gives you confidence to be able to use the waterways. It's one of the things we try to promote. People should learn how to swim because it gives you better confidence. You see that?
Now they swim. You be Gen Z and I suppose they swim.
Well, so underutilized, most definitely, because there's a lot more we can do. There's a lot more we can use, and that's why I said now it's
like get more people on board.
Absolutely, because really now the roads are saturated. We have to open up the rail. Thank God that the rail has started. There's one line already running, another one about to start anytime from now. More lines coming up across different parts of Lagos, on the waterways as well. So rail and water are the two ways to develop Lagos going forward, and that's the plan of the state, because the state believes in what we call multimodal transportation system. That's the way the state is now thinking. You don't just develop one mode in isolation. You're developing modes as they link to each other, because when you get down from the boat, of course, some people are still going to what they call a last mile. They're still going to their end point.
So they'll still use another mode of transportation.
Yeah, which sometimes might be park and ride. Maybe my car is already waiting for me there. When I get down from the boat, I can go to.
So you can even drive to a point.
Yes, very point.
Come down.
Yes. So that's also how we're thinking about it. So yeah.
Okay, cool stuff. All right. So I'll come back to.
Okay.
I'll come back to LASWA matters or water matters, but absolutely. I know that you have stories beyond LASWA, and you have you have a robust life.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So let me put it that way. So, you're, interesting. That last episode, something I said on that episode, in the episode with my wife, I was talking about husbands or men who husband great women. Right.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how if you see a great woman, achieving woman, doing great stuff, you should look out for who is the man that is husbanding that woman. Because it takes greatness and security, like you're secure within yourself.
Absolutely.
To do that.
Absolutely.
And I know that you are one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are one of such men.
Yes.
So I'm going somewhere, but let's just a bit about the great woman that you husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I'm married to Damilola Emmanuel. She's the founder and head chef at Salt Lagos. Salt Lagos is...
So if you don't know Salt Lagos, you don't know cake. Let's just put it like that.
Salt Lagos is...
Just humor me, Google it. Just Google Salt Lagos, or on Instagram, check Salt Lagos. They no pay me, they no send me his message, but the head of the family is here, so we have to shout out to the woman.
Yeah, so she's a head chef, and Salt Lagos basically deals with cakes and desserts. She trained in Paris, but she's a lawyer, actually, but always had a passion for the kitchen. So she tells this story of she's in the law firm, of course her dad's law firm, and all she's thinking about all day is food. So she's there trying to do the briefs, but it's just food in her head, So she starts, she goes off to, and it wasn't even a cheap school, and how that even came about.
How you said that.
How she even got that, to be honest, was also a miracle. Not say the money was there, but you know how these things are when it's time for purpose, and that's why sometimes you just have to follow your dream. The money will come up and the provision will show. So she got that, and when she came back, she actually trained as a chef, not even as pastry or confectionaries or anything like that, but she trained as a chef, and she came back, and she did a few days gigs here and there, did that, and then all of a sudden started to make cakes. And it became a real big thing. Before you know it, desserts. Interestingly, yesterday, Salt Lagos 10 years.
Amazing.
She started in 2013.
Congratulations.
She's grown, starting from her parents' BQ, with just her and maybe 2 members of staff. Now she has about 30 members of staff. That's minus the waiters who serve, of course, on the weekend at events.
Wow. 30.
Yes, 30. She has the bakers, the decorators, there's customer service, there's accounts, there's quality control.
Wow.
Several departments just to make sure, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. She's very driven. She's I can say, look, she can be independent when she wants to be. So sometimes she'll have done something and say, let me ask my husband. And I guess that's what happens with strong women as well. I'm sure many times I've done the thing. I say,
That's not good.
I say, should have done. I say, okay, let me even check. Okay, I'm already doing
But that's also.
Yes.
I mean, you can. A woman can thrive in that because she knows that she has the.
She's
support.
Yes, she's allowed to fly. You know what I mean?
That's the best.
She's allowed to fly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much who she is. And daily, we keep growing. Of course, there's challenges, but you have to look through those challenges and get through those challenges. And what happens with women like that is that you'll be amazed that what they really desire is not things, it's time, quality time.
Just touch on that. Just touch on that a bit, because people go and learn.
I guess there's something about how driven they are and how busy they're used to getting things done. So in all of that getting things done, they tend to value the real things that life really are about. Because think about my things. Like, I give an example of, now I'm a single man. The next thing I want to do, I want to get married. And then it never ends. When I get married, you have first year, second year, no children, what's happening? They are still asking questions. Then I want to have children. Then the children come again, the children, you want to sort them out to school fees. You want to, so it's an endless race. For people like that, they're too driven, they're achieving things, they're doing things at work. They want to have quality time with their loved ones. They want to spend time with their kids. They want to spend time with their husbands. So if the husbands too now are busy, then there's a problem, because the real time is not there. All you guys are just out there achieving. And
so how do you guys navigate that?
Showing that,
because you're both busy.
Yeah. So, well, to be honest with you, I'll be very honest, we're still trying to find the balance. But 7 years now in marriage, you had to reflect and tell yourself that what really is priority. So just a few days ago, because since January I've been on full steam, I haven't had any real rest. Like, it's one thing after the other, and I broke down where I wasn't feeling too good, and that I don't really feel ill. Yes, but I realized that's because of, and I realized that one, it's not enough rest. You're not having enough rest to even recuperate, and also family time as well is suffering. So you have to reorganize your life and look at your life again.
Deliberately.
What is very, very important in the grand scheme of things. If they took the job away today, where are you going back to? You're going back home. And if your family have been telling you, well, we don't see you, we don't spend much of time with you, you're always working, you're always doing this. Yeah, you're working for them as well. But at the same time as well, they want you as well. So it's a bit of a hard place to be sometimes, where you're trying to make a living, but at the same time, that's why I believe in smart work, not this hard work. There's nothing wrong in hard work, but there's also, I believe there's smart work. Yeah, smart work is more efficient, more effective in how you spend your time. So yeah, I think we're still trying to find the balance, but I think we're gradually understanding that once you prioritize, you get the balance right.
Cool stuff. All right. So 7 years married.
Yes.
But because I know back end, right? Yeah. So I know that
the story
where you are, or what you have right now is a restoration.
Absolutely.
So I was really hoping and praying that you'll be okay to share the past.
Very open.
Absolutely. So I'll leave the floor to you right now. Not like I'm not leaving, but share that with us.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so 2014, got married initially. 6 months down the line, lost my wife. 2015, June, precisely. She's pregnant. Lost a child initially.
So your initial marriage?
Yes. She was 6 months pregnant. We got married in December. It was not pregnant out of wedlock, but pregnant within wedlock. By January, she was already, I mean, at end of January, people were like, did you rush her, kind of thing. But yeah, in January, so she was already pregnant. We're going through the process. Complications around childbirth led to the child passing on inside her. So that's an evacuation. And I think
was this at the 6 month period or at full term?
At 6 months. Yeah, at 6 months. So they had to do an evacuation. And the evacuation led to, I think there was an infection, which was not very clear. So we were initially in Lagos, but her dad is a doctor. So the dad said, okay, come over to Ibadan, let's continue to see you and let's take it. Because, I mean, I've dealt with hundreds of cases like this, and, well, things got worse. 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, lost her June. Just fun enough, this is June. So it's somewhere around this time as well. So June is a very, very interesting one. So it's interesting that I'm talking about it now. So yeah, lost her. Very painful. Tosin was a high flyer. Tosin was amazing. Tosin was great. But it's one of those things where you either go down or you go up after it. Yeah. And I chose up. Very hard, but I chose up. And there's no how. There's no how you want to do it. I mean, people might want to shy away from it, but it's God. That's a singular factor. So with God, you either choose to say, okay, this experience shapes my life forever. I'm never going to want to be near any woman. I never want to hear anything about marriage. I never want to deal with anybody. I just want to be on my own, I could have gone into depression, misery. But I said, God, it's very, very tough and dark situation. But I choose to believe that the best will come out of this. So very strangely, people always ask me, do you ever ask God why? I said, till today, I've not asked God why.
You have not?
No.
Till today?
Yeah. And that's people. So it's also a thing of people are like, are you being real? Like, doesn't God want to tell you? But my thing to you is that if God were to really explain to you, could you understand it? Can God really explain to you? Do you think God can explain to you and you understand it?
Like there's some things that are beyond.
There's some things that you might not be able to live with, and God knows us better than we know ourselves. Like if He told you the real reason why this whole thing happened, you will live with it for the rest of your life, and you might not even be able to. So I'm not saying that's just an example, but yeah.
But if someone asks now that, I mean, because someone else can be like, is either I'm living with the explanation for the rest of my life, or I'm living with the question for the rest of my life.
Good. That's also a good one. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Why did this have to happen?
Yeah. So truth. You are very right with that. And that's why I said I chose. You have options. I've chosen to say, God, the Yoruba say Kabeosi. Like is
like no questioning.
You're not questioning him. Truly. You can't question. I mean, nobody's saying you can't.
But you're not questioning him. You're asking him
why. So but for me, I say
you just choose to surrender.
Yeah, my life is much better
for that way
because I know that at the end of the day, still have a decent relationship with the family.
That's with your ex-wife.
Yes, her brother is still like my brother. Her parents are still like my parents, which is very rare because you probably think they don't want to have anything to do with you any longer. But everything all worked out together. But like I said, it was a dark time.
For you, how long did that dark time last?
Well, I would say a year, about a year. But within that year, the healing already started. And I was very open to speaking to people who had been through what I'd been through. I was very open to how God wanted me to heal. And it's pain. Sometimes out of the greatest pain comes the greatest victory. It comes the greatest progress or success. You know what I mean? And, you know, sometimes people try to bury you, but they don't know you're a seed. So
or situations try to bury you,
but they don't know you're a seed. So the burying
So a
you is just
grader
gonna
comes
make
out.
you. The burying is just gonna make you come out of the tree. You know. So it was one of those things where, you know, people just wanted to watch and see what's really gonna happen. You know, and I'm glad that, you know, we're still on the journey, still going through life. But it's one of those things that, look, it changed your life forever. Like, you go, that's why, look, there's two sides to what I'm about to say.
Right.
I believe that you can learn from people's experiences. I'm one of those people that believe that why do I want to go through something when I know Gaise has been through and Gaise can share with me, so I won't have to go through it. But there's also some things that when you go through, you know, like now I can relate with someone who has lost his spouse.
And I can't.
You can't. I know when I go there, I know what to do, what to say. And a lot of the times, you know, and I always use any opportunity I have to speak to people. When people lose people, don't go there and go and be talking. They don't really want to hear you talk. Because you are going to talk and you don't know. You know, you don't know.
So you're just talking
ignorantly. You're just going to talk. It's okay, it's well, you're fine. They're not fine. They just want you to be there, and they want to know that you can even listen. Yeah, you can be there and say, look, I'm here for you. Just want you to know I'm here. It's better you just go there and say, look, I'm here, we're here just to be with you. Just let you know, rather than trying to talk and encourage and speak, because they're not really wanting to receive or hear that. We have examples. I mean, you see Job in the Bible, you know, Job's friends were just coming and talking all kinds of things.
And none of the talk
made sense. And they thought it made sense. And they were telling him things that you did this, and you did that. And they were all wrong. It took a young boy who came, and even the young boy didn't have the fullness of the picture until God came and said, who is this that is darkening counsel with words that don't have knowledge? What do you know? Where were you when I told the waters to go this far? You know, all those things. So with loss as well.
Which is actually what you were saying about if God explained for you, would you understand? Which kind of like aligns with what God was then telling Job.
Yes.
Like, where were you when I founded where were you when I founded the earth? So all these things you guys are saying, you just have this minuscule view
of things.
Things.
We always have a small picture. God sees the holistic and entire picture of everything. But it's a process. I'm a big believer in process.
Is it possible for you to pinpoint 1, 2, 3 things that helped you with healing?
Yeah. The very first day happened. That night, I can never forget. That night, right? We prayed. And we worshiped. In fact, not even prayed.
What did we?
Let me not say pray. So me and the parents. Let me say prayed. We worshipped God. It was rare. It was hard. It was not a thing of you don't do that normally. You can't do that naturally. You know, and sometimes people, we don't want to talk about these things. We don't want to tell people that, they say you're too Christianese, it works. It's the real thing. That's who we are. You're just walking around, but we're supernatural. So, to be honest, that first night, that was what it was. And then...
That was after it had happened.
After it happened, yeah. And then we took control of the entire atmosphere. We didn't allow people come wailing and crying and shouting. We didn't allow people come and be wearing black. Like we say, please, no black. Don't wear black. Come and greet us. We're not mourning. We're celebrating life. At the burial, nobody wore black. It was very intentional with those things as well. So we're very mindful. So I think also those things helped. And the people you have around you as well are also important. People around you to be there.
So right from the get-go,
yes,
the way you handled it, that kind of helped with the healing starting.
Yes. What happens immediately, the thing happens. What you begin to hear, what you begin to do will determine the next few days and months and years.
Wow.
things unfolded.
So say after the 1 year, because
Yes.
the relationship you have now, the marriage you have now,
yes,
God restored, but they will have taken some
definitely wisdom, process, talking, apprehension, because I married someone that's lost his wife. I mean, like I say to people, if my wife was going to pray, my current wife was going to pray, would she pray that God give me a man who has lost his wife? Nobody ever prays that kind of prayer. No, that was the person she was going to marry. And she ended up marrying me. But how do you pray that kind of prayer? You don't pray those kind of prayers. God, give me a woman who has lost her husband before. Funny. It seems like a funny prayer to pray. But so we started going through the process.
You met afterwards?
No, we're friends. Even before I got married, we're friends.
Okay.
But of course, we didn't plan.
So she knew when you went through
the whole process. But not that kind of friend that we ever thought. So even when things started to happen, it was like from where to where, like she didn't even see it coming. I didn't even see it coming as well. But very interestingly, I think after it happened, I think God doesn't want me to be in that place where I never want to marry again, or you know what I mean. So started to think about it pretty early again, that look, you might need to remarry at some point. Be open to the idea and don't be afraid, because there's always that fear of it happened once, will it happen a second time again as well? And you begin to
which makes me ask this. So how was because I know you have kids now.
Yes, 2 kids.
You have a girl and a boy?
Yes.
A girl and a boy, a boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
Yes.
So how was the first pregnancy?
Yeah, very, very, very interesting. Very not easy. And it happened to be
sure like the devil will be playing tricks
and it happened to be not
mind.
a very straightforward birth. Not a very, just one of those births say I was simple. No, it was a very so you begin to think, hey, what's going on here? That even after the child was born, she had to have a hard time as well. But God just saved us. Just saved us. Yeah. And the process of all of this as well, I had a name change, by the way, before I got married second time.
Right.
I had a name change. So my son name changed as well in the process of all of this.
But that's like you did the name change, not like the whole family, just you.
No, just me.
Yeah,
just me. Name change. I had a name change as well. So
beauty has come out of
ashes.
Mm-hmm. Light has come out of darkness. Incorruption has come out of corruption.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whoa.
All those stories that silences the room.
Yeah.
Just keep everyone quiet. But it's one of those things that need to be talked about, because many people go through things. Just letting people know that there's hope at the end of the line. There's hope at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you so much for sharing, man.
No worries.
I appreciate this. This is some serious beat of your life that you shared, and I appreciate the transparency, the vulnerability, the honesty. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Jesus. All right. So let me lighten it a bit. Let's use water. Right? Would you ever? Okay, no. Before I go here, so it was the previous Lagos State governor that brought you into public service.
Absolutely.
Was he also under his administration that you became the general manager of LASWA?
Yes. Under the former one.
So what was it like when there was a government I mean, it wasn't party change, so it's not usually as drastic changes as that, but it was still government change, and usually people will come in with their own guys, and all. But How did you transcend from one government to the next, like Daniel?
Well, one, God's favor. Two, the current governor.
Right.
Yeah, the current governor is an amazing man. Has a good heart, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have retained, regardless of how well you were performing on your job. It was a thing of loyalty. It was a thing of, is it loyalty? Is it competence? Which one above the other? And sometimes you have that interplay playing out. Is it more of loyalty? Is it more of competence? Will competence
This is
also
real. This is real stuff.
Yes, will competence.
People have to decide.
Also play over loyalty. But yeah, but very interestingly, that's why I said relationships. You have to be very careful with relationships. Very, very careful. I think this is the first time I'll publicly speak, but because I know him and I know that this story as well, is something that I'll say to him, one of these days. But I had course to deal with him before he became governor, and I never knew he'd be governor.
Where was he at this time?
He was LMD LSDPC.
He was MD of LSDPC. That's Lagos State Property Development Company.
Yes. But he was an elder in government, well established, been in government for a while, so you had to have the respect for him. So I had that respect, and
you were already GM at LASWA. So you were interacting with the head of an agency as a head of an agency.
Yes. But we had, and he was a great leader, because I saw him as a leader even while I was MD. He was a great leader, a great elder, had decent relationship, even when inter relationships and communications.
Right.
No frostiness, no fights, no trying to be cantankerous, no bickering. You know what I mean? So, as things would turn out when he became governor, I said, I know this one. So it's interesting.
I mean, just to say that if when you were head and head, you had been, maybe not.
But relationships very, very important. So that's how the transition was able to happen. And then continue your work. Let your work continue to speak for itself. And the work continue to speak for itself. Continue to do the work we're doing. Showing that we're committed to it. Building people. Growing our gender balance, because I dare say that LASWA is one of the agencies in government which has really, really grown gender balance. When I got into LASWA, maybe there were 5 women. Today, as I speak, there are probably 21. Yeah, in LASWA. So
that's what percentage that?
Well, we're pretty much almost a 60-40. Yeah, and we started from a 90-10.
Strong.
So we try to do our best.
Shout out to the women.
Yeah, women empowerment.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And it's helped, to be honest. Women help any organization you're in. Always, if you don't have any women in your team, you're in trouble.
That's cool too. If you don't have any women or any woman on your team, you're in trouble. You agree, Abby?
You don't like to say
okay, so you spent 7 years. You spent 9 years at LASWA.
9 years.
But 7 years as the
general manager. As
the head at LASWA.
Yes.
So 7 years as an appointed head.
Yes.
In public service.
Yes.
Would you ever consider elective? Would you ever consider running for office?
Well, that's a very good question. We'll see as things unfold.
Okay. You are learning. You are learning inside public service. That's as political and diplomatic an answer as possible.
We'll see as things unfold. Well, one thing is that you continue to do the work. And if the opportunity shows itself and well suited for it,
why not?
Why not?
And the thing you say about relationships again, we never can tell. Now, maybe me too, I'll be telling the story one day. I'll be like, we talked. And there was no frostiness. There was no bickering. I didn't know at that time that he would be whatever it is that he now is. But, that's why you guys, pay attention to your relationships. I'll be encouraging people then, pay attention to your relationships. and all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool stuff.
So you never know. Yeah.
There's a random 23-year-old young lady, lives in Lagos,
Okay.
works in Lagos, knows barely nothing about the waterways. What are 2-3 things you say to her? It's like you're trying to make it 45-second pitch. Now, even though the balance of power is like this, you are the one that is here, but you need to onboard people onto your service or this mode of transportation. What do you say to 22, 23-year-old, just started working, fresh grad and all, and still wants to be cool?
First things first is know where they live, because there's no point someone who doesn't have close proximity to water transportation discussing that. So when I know where they live, the next thing is, have you heard of the fact that you can use a ferry from point A to point B? And really to focus on safety, because they want to make them as comfortable as possible to use it. Let them know how safe it can be and how safe it can be for them as well as individuals. Because on the water transportation, passenger responsibility is very important. And why I say passenger responsibility is because of the safety element of wearing your life jacket. Actually, if you Google, it's probably the safest mode of transportation in the world, because you hardly have accidents except when boats capsize. I mean, today now, I can tell you by the end of today, there will be many road accidents. On a daily basis, there's always road accidents.
Globally.
Niger and everywhere. I mean, there will be, and it's natural. So, but with that life jacket, in case of any emergency, you'll be safe.
You're fine,
because help will always get to you within 24 hours, and that life jacket will keep you even more than 24 hours, as long as you wear your life jacket properly. And ensure that you buckle, because a lot of the time when people get into boats, they're like, I'm hot now. But yeah, think of the journey. Journey is 30-45 minutes. Wear it for the time you're going to wear it on, put it on the strap, and it's for your safety. And that's why they talk about seat belts, and that's why they say, wear your seat belts, wear your life jacket. So of course, also enlighten and wearing the life jacket, and let them know that, look, you can use the boats from point A to point B, and look, it'll save you time. Let them know the time savings. That's the thing about water transportation, is time saving, no traffic. So Ikorodu that is talking about to Lekki.
Yeah.
If you do Ikorodu to Lekki now by road, it's 2 hours minimum. Maybe max, if there's no traffic, maybe 1 hour 30 minutes. But by waterway, it's 25 minutes. You save time. So imagine someone who is a family person. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll take my children, drop them in school, I'll still get to the jet to park my car, and I'll get to work on time.
Gives you more time with your family.
More time, business productivity for those who are doing business. For those who have bosses that are crazy and their bosses say, you didn't get to work on time. No, they don't have those issues. They get to work on time because they can use the waterways.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been head of LASWA for
7 years.
7 years. Let's just assume that in another 3 years, you are called upon to greater things. In the words of one of our philosophers, he said, "Oh, ye rappers, I've moved on to greater things. I will see you in a jiffy." Those that know the philosopher will know the philosopher. I'm almost sure you don't know the philosopher.
No, I don't.
It's fine. But as people are watching, they can tell who that philosopher is. Agba. All right. So let's say in 3 years, you're called on to go to, a greater responsibility, a greater position, and all of that. What would you love LASWA to be at that point when you're moving on? Like, what would you love to have achieved by then? What are the metrics, parameters, or I would love to have brought it to this point by the time I'm moving on?
Well, right now we look at the transport modal share in terms of land is. Road transportation is pretty much the main thing. I would say almost somewhere between maybe even 90% is road transportation, right? Interestingly, You have you have walking. Maybe walking is another.
Walking,
yes, because people walk a lot in Lagos. So don't think about that. People walk now. People are walking.
I mean, something that we often say is
just think about people walk.
We don't walk.
Yeah,
People just don't like walking. Africans don't like walking. You know.
Yeah, let's say another 5%.
We'll go to walking.
We'll go to walking.
Okay. So that remaining 5 is shared between water and rail.
Shared between water, rail, and even cycling.
We know the cycle, but I don't even think that Lagos roads are
that's what I said is a minimal number. Anyway, so that shows you that if we're looking at somewhere between 1%, 2%, will be to see how that can be 5 to. To be honest, will be to see how that gets to 5% minimum, or even possible 10%. But right now, I think that in the last 7 years, one of the things we also do is make it as safe as possible. Definitely, in terms of safety, the numbers have definitely improved significantly. Right. We used to have minimum of 10 accidents on the waterways. Last year, we had only one. Every year.
Every year?
Yeah, 10 major incidents where we will have casualties. Last year, we had just one. 2 years ago, we had 2. So numbers have been
casual. Yes, mishaps have greatly.
Unfortunately, we had 2, but they were just totally unnecessary. It didn't need to happen, which obviously sort of damages our records. But since that time, early on in the year, we need to put a curb. This is the 6th month now. We've not had any major incident, and we pray not to have any. Amen. But that shows you that we know to build it. And the fact that it's safe, people then get more confidence.
Increase
the amount of people who use it, because there's negative perceptions about when accidents happen. People just get scared and then don't want to use it, and then the numbers drop. But knowing that it helps, like I said, time saving, business productivity, less carbon emissions to the environment, so many environmental advantages as well that it brings to the table. Yeah. And of course, you want that to be one of the things you push out there as well.
Have you ever considered relocating?
No, never.
Even before you got into LASWA?
Yes.
Why?
I just believe that, man, this is where it is for me. My purpose is here. Doesn't mean that I will not go and do things outside, which I'm even doing things outside. For example, I'm part of a fellowship, which is an African fellowship, and I get to meet with 15 Africans from 15 other countries who are all in a group working on interesting projects across Africa. So we're seeing how that impacts. Of course, you get to travel outside Africa as well, to Europe and other countries, but I don't think that I'm meant to live outside Nigeria, except, of course, for a period of time. For example, if something takes you out of the country, but that I want to move because I'm seeking for a better future, no. You have the resolute belief, yes,
that your better is here.
Yes,
and you've had that even before you go into public service.
Yes, before I go into public service. Yes.
Interesting. I'm not saying interesting because I don't agree. I'm just being a good engaging interviewer. In your thoughts, and this is me thinking, and this is something that I hope to engage more Africans on, hopefully more African leaders at some point. I feel like transportation and the ease of moving within Africa, I can't even call it a problem. I feel like it's, at the risk of sounding superstitious, it'd be like a course, right? Because it is easier to come from Europe to any African country than it is to move from an African country to another African country. So if it's easier for me to fly from Lagos to London, from Lagos to New York, from Lagos to Frankfurt, than from Lagos to Yaoundé, from Lagos to Ouagadougou, to get a direct flight to Abidjan. Why is that? And even though I know that your scope of work is, within Lagos, you're not yet doing like intra-continent or continental type engagements and all of that. In your view, why is that, and what can African leaders do differently to make Africans connect more, to just make that?
Planning is a big factor, and also how we see ourselves in Africa. Is it competition, or do we see ourselves as one Africa? I mixed with fellow Africans, 13 African countries, and every time we get it, there's this big joke of us. They call us the Super Eagles because we're like 4 or 5 Nigerians. And there's this thing about Nigeria, and it's the way they see Nigerians and the way they perceive Nigeria. They already feel, you guys always feel like you're the best in Africa, but we know you have challenges in your country, that kind of thing. So there's always those kind of little permutations underneath. But I strongly believe that the problem is because we're not seeing ourselves as one Africa. I mean, look at the EU and what they've done with Europe and across each other and how we build, and the planning is just the key. And the plan to help one another and help our neighboring countries. And I know that, this current government is trying to do a lot more with that and with ECOWAS and, trying to see how the countries can really,
for me, I'm like,
begin to work together and talk together. Yeah.
What has the African Union, formerly Organization of African Unity, formerly OAU, now AU, what has been the point of all that organizing for decades?
There's always been agendas, individual agendas. It should be a holistic agenda.
Do you think there's an invisible hand, like an imperial hand,
that doesn't want it to happen?
Do you understand? So I'm talking
it would always happen
from the West.
Yes, and I think the countries that colonized us. For example, I'm sure you've seen a lot of what's happened with the Francophone nations, where a lot of them, the military is taking over. They're now
aligning with Russia.
There's also that. So you can't rule that out. The countries
they're still aligning with another Western power. Well, I mean, now this time Eastern power.
Well, the countries that colonize always want to keep control. We have to understand that comes a time where, look, I'll tell them, hands off. Enough is enough. There's a lot more we can do with our resources. But it still goes back to planning appropriately.
If you say that there comes a time when we have to be like, enough is enough, hands off, all that. Do you think any African nation, sub-Saharan this time, let's leave the more Arab than African nations, sub-Saharan, do you think any sub-Saharan nation is strong enough, self-sufficient enough to tell the West or the East, hands off? Because there are nations who have tried it before and somehow shall still body brunt for it.
Well, to be honest, I don't believe that any country cannot stand on its own. I want to say stand on its own because you've seen countries that don't even have any natural resource make a mountain out of, a molehill, so to speak. You've seen Dubai.
Yeah.
We've seen
Singapore.
And I just came from I visited a country this year, Estonia.
Estonia. It's close to Spain.
Estonia, yes, is on somewhere around the eastern country. Estonia broke away from Russia.
Oh no, not close to Spain. It's their flag that is close to.
Yeah, right. Estonia broke away from Russia. Estonia is probably in the world, probably top 3 most technologically advanced countries in the world. 99% of their services are online. The only 2 things they haven't been doing, they weren't doing before online, was marriage and divorce, and they started it this year. So you can get married. You can get married online. You can get divorced online as well. 99% of their services, full And
legal.
And guess what happens to them? When they got independence in 1990, they just set out for themselves a vision and a plan. So let me tell you, interestingly, Bolt? Bolt is an Estonian company. What people don't know. Bolt is in Nigeria doing big. I mean, Bolt is probably even bigger than Uber these days. You know what I mean? You see Bolt everywhere. Bolt is an Estonian company. We saw the MD, young guy. He's probably 35, 40 or something. Yeah, maybe. And his brother too.
This guy in for the world.
My brother. So shows you Skype is also an Estonian company as well. So they have
this online.
They have 10 unicorns.
10 unicorns.
Yeah, 10 unicorns in Estonia. Yeah. And
does Africa have up to? I think Nigeria has 2 or 3.
Well, it comes from unicorns, and this comes from the fact that they have 10. When they build, they don't build for Estonia, because Estonia,
they build for the world.
Let me tell you, they build for the world. So let me tell you how many people. Estonia has less than 3 million people. So they can say that it's small. No, not that one. No, it's about the mindset. So that whole idea of a country. Because I remember those got independence in 1990 something, yeah? You come out and decide that, well, we're going to do something for ourselves. So, no matter how long you've been under any kind of rule,
pressure,
when you come out,
decide that.
You can decide, and you can see where the leadership is going to. You can see where they're going to with that. So I think that, look, it's very possible. And this is them that what did they even really have? Dubai too. He said, you see what Dubai has done, what they had. Talk us of country.
Does Singapore have?
Yeah, Singapore is another country who has done well for itself as well. Great. Yeah, for itself as well. So I believe that every country can.
What do you think of Botswana?
Well, I don't know much about Botswana, but I know that.
Because I hear there's some good stuff happening
Botswana,
there.
Yeah, I think Botswana is close to South Africa, right?
Yeah, they're in southern part of Africa. But I hear
as well.
Even their democracy is stable. And then I don't know if it's the economy or just the what do you call this thing now? The quality of life. There's an economic name for it. I know that economics I studied for school, but so I still remember small. Even though we do music
to death ratio.
Not that one. I'm sure my audience will. Okay. They'll pop it in the comment section and stuff. But I'm not even talking. I'm not talking them GDP, GNI, not those ones. There's this quality of life. There's way it's measured and stuff. But like I hear Botswana is doing quite good among African countries, so yeah. All right, so let's wrap up. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I said I was going to chip in something. Yeah. So you see this table. You see this desk. You can replace this water with your product. Right. So we have Mana Grills, our first sponsor. You can come on board the Black Flame Pod and have your products displayed, like really cool. So we've talked about if you are speaking as a LASWA boss, speaking to like a young person and pitching water services. What of like those who I was talking about earlier who feel like there is maybe it's passion, maybe it's call, maybe they just have this knowing that they're supposed to like get into public service, or we won't talk politics now since you are not in politics, you are in public service and heading a government agency, right? So what's the one or two things that you would say to a young guy, a young girl who believes that he or she has a part to play in public service to move the nation forward?
First things first is look for opportunities to volunteer, because you need to understand the system. I think a lot of the time people criticize government because they don't understand the way the system works. And until you're inside, you can't really know. And you can't really, really assess the way things really work. There's a system. Public sector is a system. Private sector is a system. I mean, look at the way you put up this whole entire show. I don't know much about production. I don't know whether that camera should be fit. But when I get into the system and I start to take part and I begin to learn. Oh, the camera is this way, position it this way, put the speakers this way. Oh, the sitting arrangement is wrong. Oh, the person that is speaking, so you begin to learn until I'm a strong believer. You have to be in that system. So one of the ways, for example, would be to volunteer. And from volunteering, of course, opportunities always come up for you to be in there as well. And relationships, like I'll go back to relationships again. If you know you also are looking for ways to get in, then you have to be close to some of these people. Yeah, close to people in government and hopefully there'll always be opportunities for employment.
I can hear like 12 people who are thinking what I want to help people ask now. Can they volunteer either with you or at LASWA?
I mean, if there are opportunities, if there is an opportunity, and because we have opportunities for volunteer.
How would they do that?
Well, they have to apply. They can apply, but if you do that,
is there like an email address?
Yeah. So they can apply. They can apply. You can send me an email directly or just drop it.
Let's tell them.
Okay, so Emmanuel. At LagosWaterways.com.
Don't say I didn't do anything for you.
Emmanuel at LagosWaterways.com.
Emmanuel.
Yes, at
LagosWaterways.com.
Or drop an application in the office.
Emmanuel at LagosWaterways.com.
Yes.
If you do first fruits, if you are the type that does that gives first fruits, remember me, your kingdom. I'm kidding. All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For coming through.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
It's been an amazing one. And it is impossible for a Black Flame episode to not be impactful. Like, I think I've come to that realization. Mm-hmm. So I know that, and there are different parts and different bits of this conversation that I already know. I mean, you're having this conversation, they don't know this other part is coming. Then you're having this one, they don't know this other part is coming. For me personally, I love the Africa part because I'm big on Africa, and this is also connected to Africa, by the way. Just I've not explained the link. Let's continue moving. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
For honoring our invitation.
Thank you for
coming on the Black Flame Pod.
Yes, keep flaming up. Thank you.
Yeah, that keep flaming up. All right, so we have a pack for you from Urbana Grills.
Thank you so much.
I'll have it brought to me now so that I can hand it over to you. Yeah. So this is courtesy Urbana Grill House. I've had it, and I'm certain that when you have it, you have more of it. You will want more of it, so you will have more of it. They are on Legally Ayorinde, 4 Legally Ayorinde. They're in Lagos and Port Harcourt. Fresh, spiced, delicious. Thank you, Urbana Grills, and this is.
Thank you.
This is for you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
On the Black Flame Pod.
Thank you.
All right, guys. It's Gaise Barber, and this is the Black Flame.